Mining companies, I think that they are much more affected if we think about the demand and the deficit. So the deficit of silver today in the market is in between 150 to 200 million ounces. And that's very much affecting the market as well as the price.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and these are the Miles Franklin Weekly Specials for June 30th to July 6th, 2025, while supplies last. First this week we feature backdated 1/10 ounce gold maples at just $45 over melt per coin. Next, 1 ounce silver Swiss Pamp rounds are just $2.59 over spot per ounce. 90% mixed junk constitutional silver is only 99 cents over spot. And finally, backdated 1 ounce platinum platypus coins are just $119 over spot per ounce. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Welcome back to Liberty and Finance. We're delighted to have a first-time guest today. Joaquín Marias is the CEO of Argenta Silver. We found out about this company through our mutual friend, Rick Rule. Joaquín, thank you for coming for this first time on Liberty and Finance.
Well, thank you very much, Donovan, for having me here. It's a real pleasure, honestly.
We are recording this ahead of the upcoming 2025 Rule Symposium on Natural Resource Investing in Boca Raton, Florida. I hope I'll get a chance to meet you in person there, or at least a representative of your company. You'll let us know about that. But you were one of the very few companies that Rick has selected through his due diligence. He's educated our audience for years now on the methodology that he uses to find the needle in the haystack. He says he looks for track record of management teams. He looks for balance sheet stability of a company. He looks for other institutional or other large investor support. He looks for sizable deposits that could develop into something of scale and some magnitude that would last for a while. There's many reasons why he has brought different companies to our attention, and we in turn bring those to the attention of our viewers and subscribers, because whatever Rick is looking closely at and owning, we want to look closely at as well. So again, thank you on behalf of all of our viewers and subscribers for joining us to help us understand Argenta Silver. One of the things I learned as we started talking was Argenta Silver is located in Argentina, and it's a very young company. Only since last October. That's like 9 months. And that's really an eye-opener for me, because it's exceptional for a new company, a new junior miner, to become so successful so quickly that Rick would own them and invite them to be at his symposium. So we'd love for you to tell us what it is about Argenta Silver that makes it stand out from other junior miners.
Well, actually, for us, it's also a compliment to be attending to the conference. And of course, you mentioned some very important points that I always as well have follow up from Rick, and that I am very agreed with his process on how he research companies. And being so young for us, and today having a market cap of approximately 80 million Canadian dollars, it's obviously an achievement. And I wouldn't say that our balance sheet is one of the things that you should be looking at on a company that is that young, despite we are doing great. And we still having $11 million in the bank, and we have no debt and no pending payments. Let's say that so far our balance sheet is very, very clean. But I think that the most important here, Donovan, it's to think about what you mentioned first, the proven track record and the management. So this is a company that was formed within the Fiore Group, which is led by Frank Giustra, and he's our major shareholder. He owns approximately 13.5% of the company. And this is a major thing to have in consideration, because the Fiore Group has a proven track record on creating different companies that went from a very small position to a very large position in the market. We can mention several of those like Asia, Wheaton, Endeavor, Goldcorp, and I can keep going on the list, but those are companies that were born here in this same office where I'm sitting now. And that's one of the main things to have in mind, that there is a proven track record from the group. Argenta was born with the spirit to be a silver company focused in Latin America. We start our endeavor with El Quevar project, which is a pure silver clay in Argentina. This is a major thing to mention as well, because there are not many pure silver assets around the world, and probably that's something that also caught the attention of RIP, that this is a pure silver play with already 45.3 million ounces of silver on the indicated resource and 4.1 million ounces of inferred resource in place. All the silver, it's in one single deposit, and it's not scattered all over the map. And this is also something that many investors are looking for, because on the future terms of the company, you will be trying to find things that are pretty much easy to operate. We also have all the infrastructure in place. So when you think about the acquisition that we did, because this is a project that we acquired last year from a previous owner, a company that was in distress, and that's the previous company that was having this project in their hands. We acquired that from them. We inherited a camp for 100 people that it's fully operative. We inherited 60 kilometers of internal roads. We are in a place where we have a railroad, we have a gas pipeline, we have a national road coming to us that it's been paved at this moment while we are talking. So all this infrastructure thinking ahead of the project, thinking in the future of the project, it's going to be phenomenal, magnificent. And all these things are putting the project in the spectrum of very few projects around the world. You know, there are not many like this. And these kind of things combined all together, I think that those are the things that catch the attention of people like Rick Rule, Frank Justra, and other people. We also have big shareholders in the company that we can talk later in the conversation.
About the resource itself, help us understand the size of your land package and the current defined. You mentioned that this was already evidently under development by some other company that had financial distress. That's how you were able to acquire it, that who had done some of this infrastructure work. But what was this ever brought to an operating mine condition, or is it still in the exploration stage? Help us understand both the stage of development and also the potential size and scope of your project there in Argentina.
Well, this is a great question, Dana. So the project itself today, combining between inferred and indicated, it has 50 million ounces of silver, plus minus. The thing is that 90% of that, it's indicated. So 45.3 million ounces are indicated. And this project, it's still an exploration project. The thing is that the previous operator, they started to build some mining infrastructure to start mining the deposit with only those 50 million ounces of silver combined. Again, this is a pure silver asset. There is no gold, no lead, no copper, no zinc in the resource. It's a pure silver asset. And the previous owner, as I said, they start building all this infrastructure on top of the mountain, thinking ahead of their project and believing that they were going to be able to start mining the 50 million ounces. The problem with this is that in 2011, the country and the market were not the best, and the company started diminishing their activity. And on 2013, that's when they left the country. And for the 10 years that came after, the project was barely explored, with very intermittent exploration in between. And they had issues in some other country. And that's how their financial health became really bad. And that, in our case, was an opportunity to acquire this project for a very interesting price. We paid around 10 cents per ounce in the ground for a total of 3.5 million American dollars for this project. And again, it's a project that has a camp for 100 people. We just changed some light bulbs and some things. And it has 60 kilometers of internal roads, plus all this infrastructure that I'm talking about, that it's on top of the mountain. People need to understand here that there are no mills, there are no tanks. We don't have production facilities on the mountain. We just have warehouses with generators and places that we will use in the future to lower the cost of exploration. For example, there is a huge building on the mountain that it's in the center of the exploration area that we will use in the future for logging, as a logging facility, as a core logging facility. And this is going to lower our cost on the exploration side of things. So it's very important to say, I always say this in our talks, that it's very important to have this infrastructure in place for an exploration project like this. Because if you are an investor and if you are investing in a project, no matter what, the allocation of that capital will end up somewhere on infrastructure. It will go to the ground, but a portion will go to infrastructure. It will go to roads, it will go to cutlery, mattresses, pillows, whatever you can imagine on infrastructure for a place. We don't have that issue here. 100% of the investment that is coming to the project, or let's say 90% of the investment that is coming to the project, will go straight away into the ground for drilling or for exploration. The other portion that we will be allocating is just for the maintenance that we need to do to these facilities.
And if you could help quantify for our audience the land size, and you already gave us this 50 million ounces pure silver indicated and inferred, but how much of that has been explored in order to come up with this estimate of 50 million ounces?
Yes, so this is a property that has 57,000 hectares. It's a very, very, very big land package. We cover, in only one piece of land, we cover the second largest volcanic complex of Argentina, which is also very, very favorable, because that's the suitable places where you would be looking for giant deposits. And only 4% of the totality of the surface has been well explored, while only 1% of the property has been thoroughly drilled. 75% of the historical drilling, that means that 75,000 meters, were allocated previously by the previous owner on the resource definition, and only 25% of the historical drilling was allocated to exploration. And that is talking a little bit of how unbalanced these numbers are. What we will do is, now knowing that we have 50 million ounces in both categories, now that we know that we have those ounces there, we will start exploring, and we hope to revert those numbers. So we hope to spend more in exploration, try to make this project to grow through the exploration, through the discovery of new ounces. Now that we know that the resource is there, obviously we are trying to expand the resource on step-out drilling. While we are speaking, we are drilling in the project. So this is very exciting. And I hope that in the incoming days or weeks, we start to have news flows going out from El Quebar.
We'd love to help you get that news out. Now, there is one more important aspect of Rick Rule's assessment of companies, more than one, but one additional one is jurisdictional support, jurisdictional risk. And in some countries are much more conducive both to permitting and operations and the accessibility of skilled workforce and safety for the crews to be able to continue operations, rather than some countries where there can be risks and that kind of thing. In this case, Argentina is exceptional among all the countries in the world at the moment, because as our channel, we were discussing, our channel here is named Liberty and Finance. Well, Argentina got a brand new leader last year, Javier Milei, and it's been interesting to see how he hit the ground running and reversing the course of financial woes that Argentina was facing and turning from a runaway debt into balancing the budget and all kinds of other changes. He was famously known for campaigning with a chainsaw to say, I'm going to bring a chainsaw to the status quo and make big changes here in Argentina. And a lot of what we've been hearing is a lot of support from the people. They wanted to see change, and change is what they're getting. How does that affect your company, and how is Argentina a favorable jurisdiction for your operations and for potential investors?
Well, it's affecting us in the way that we see a lot of foreign direct investment coming into the country. And you have seen, or the public might have heard, about the BHP deal with Lundin family in Argentina, or the latest Rio Tinto investment on a Salar that it's in Argentina for $2.7 billion actually. And all this investment that it's coming into the country, it's dragging with itself a lot of other investors, and it's also catching the attention of national investors. Our second largest shareholder, it's Eduardo Elstein, through one of his companies. Eduardo Elstein is one of the biggest real estate owners in Argentina. He's an agribusinessman. He's also investing in mining. He has invested in different projects in Argentina and in Latin America. So he's very well aware of the mining industry. And this is very important for us. As I said, he's our second largest shareholder. He did a strategic investment of $5 million in the company recently. We are very proud to have two major shareholders like Frank Justra and Eduardo Elstein in our share structure. Talking about Argentina, back to the Liberty part of the name of your channel. Yes, Argentina, it's under major changes. I think that this is a no turning point for the country. I am from Argentina. I was born there. I have been living in Canada for almost 4 years so far. And I have to say that every time that I go back, or that I have been back since Milei got into power, I can see hope in the face of people, things that before were not there. Every time that you ask a family what is the exit for the country, for the situation of the country, everybody will make the joke of the exit for the situation is the airport, right? And today that it's been reverted as well. Some people is coming back to the country. People is starting to bet on the country. And the biggest changes that Milei has been doing, well, he increased the central bank reserve by 80% in US dollars. He got a 20 billion credit from the IMF, which is a major thing. I think that 12 billion from there were immediate disbursement from the IMF. There have been major deregulation operations on the import and export rules. There has been a complete removal or almost complete removal for some of the foreign exchange and the currency controls that we had in the country before. I was reading some news weeks ago that the cattle export has been open after 50 years of being banned. So when I talk about Argentina, when people will tell me, first thing they will tell me, wow, beef is amazing in Argentina. Fantastic. Well, for 50 years, the country was forbidden to export meat in huge quantities. And now those regulations have been abolished, and the country is in track to see major changes. Before, you couldn't even buy things by Amazon. So you could only buy things by local companies. And today, all those restrictions have been abolished. So I think that we are starting to see a major change. As I said, Donovan, it's a no turning point. And in terms of justice, we have seen major changes. The former president of Argentina has been sentenced to jail, and it's now on a firm sentence in jail. So all these kind of things, are speaking very, very well about all his adventures in Argentina. What is he doing? And as an outsider, I think that that's a very, very interesting thing to see, because he's not coming from the public area. He's coming completely outside from the private area. And he's committed with this. As you say, he was doing the campaign with a chainsaw, and he's still promoting that. Probably you remember when he gave Elon Musk a chainsaw. He's still with that idea, and I think that that's the spirit of the libertarianism, right? It's a non-aggression principle, the respect to private property, and the respect of the development of all for the best of the country.
We've been talking for some time on our channel about the silver market's performance relative to gold, and we've talked to Rick Rule about that, as well as many other experts, because it seems that the pattern is often established in bull markets for the metals that gold will move first and establish a trend, and then silver will eventually move farther and faster once it gets started. The gold-silver ratio is often followed by our viewers and some of the analysts that we interview, and some of our viewers are very closely watching that because they've been acquiring physical silver for the past 10 plus years or more, anticipating a farther percentage move in silver eventually than in gold, and imagining that that will allow them to benefit. You were bringing up the gold-silver ratio before we started this interview, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it and how it affects companies that are primarily silver-focused, like Argenta Silver.
Well, Donovan, this is very interesting. And when you think about the gold-silver ratio, you have to understand what the gold-silver ratio is. So the gold-silver ratio, it's in nature. I am a geologist. The crust of this planet, it has certain concentrations of gold and certain concentrations of silver. So when you take both concentrations and you divide one over the other to make the ratio, you will find out that the natural crust concentration is of 19:1. So 19 parts of silver will make 1 part of gold. But when you start thinking about the humans, we didn't put that silver or that gold in the crust, right? But what we did was we start to take them out and we start to making coins. The first guys that used this in huge amount, the first civilization that used this for many, many, many years, and that's still one of the most famous ones, is the Roman Empire. Right? The Roman Empire, they had the denarius, that was a silver coin, and the aureus. And the concentration in between those coins was approximately that, or the ratio was that 12 grams of silver could make 1 gram of gold. And if you think about that, it's very close to the natural occurrences in the earth. The 500-year average from now to 500 years ago, it's of 20:1. That's the ratio. The last 100 years, it's 45:1. And at this moment, we are in a ratio of 90:1, with 2 peaks that were reached in 1980 and 2011. Those were the record heights. But when you get back to those averages and you say, okay, if in the last 500 years the average was approximately 20:1, what would be the price of silver today? So if you divide the price of gold today by the silver price, it could be that silver should be at $165 per ounce. If you think about the last 100 years average, we are talking of a price of silver of approximately $75. So wherever you want to be between one or the other, between the 75 or the $165 for the price of silver, considering those two ratios, we know that 90:1, which is the current ratio, it's far too away from that point. So at some point, that ratio will have to come back to the natural level. As a scientist, I have to say it, things tend to get naturally to their original point, to their natural level. And at some point, I think that we should start to see that ratio decrease, and we will see much better prices for silver. it's definitely a bull trend. And we are also starting to see this cup and handle being very well described in the charts. And at some point, things should get back to the natural levels. How it affects us as a mining company? Well, actually, mining companies, I think that they are much more affected if we think about the demand and the deficit. So the deficit of silver today in the market is in between 150 to 200 million ounces. And that's very much affecting the market as well as the price. In Argentina is the 10th largest producer of silver of the world. And in Argentina, some of the silver mines are also depleting. So it's a situation that at the end of the day, humankind will look for new sources of silver, places where they will be okay to source them for industrial uses or for investment uses or for jewelry, whatever of those uses is, we will need to cover that deficit. And projects like the one that Argenta Silver has, that it's a pure silver project, are projects that will tend to be more and more attractive with time. At this moment, we are not thinking about production because, as I told you, we are an exploration company. We are looking to add ounces into this project through the discovery and not by drilling only and only on the resource. So this is getting more and more interesting. And projects that have all the infrastructure as the one that we have, I think that those are the ones that will become mines faster than the other ones, the ones that have to build all that infrastructure. That's why I'm making so much emphasis on infrastructure that we have at this moment.
Mm-hmm. It's a remarkable story, and one that sounds like it's going to be moving. This whole timeline is moving very fast. I mean, from a new company in October to already, you have a market cap. You spent $3.5 million or $3.6 million on your purchasing this deeply discounted project and asset, and all the camp already ready to go with all the infrastructure, and you're continuing to explore it. So from that $3.5 or $3.6 million initial investment, you already have a market cap of
around 80 million.
18 million already? 80 million already.
Our share price is around 36 cents, and our market cap is approximately $80 million Canadian dollars at this moment.
This is a very rapid movement, and one that still has Rick's attention because he has been associated with the overall management team for the past, as you mentioned, and seen spectacular companies get born out of that, such as Wheaton, you mentioned. We're delighted for you being here for the first time. We'd love to help you tell the story as you make progress so that people can decide when the right time is for them to throw their hat in the ring. And we'll include the website address for Argenta Silver in the description of this video. So anybody who's watching this, if you look in the description of this video, you'll see a link to the corporate website to get more information. And Joaquín, if you can just tell us any other tips for people who want to learn more about Argenta Silver, in addition to visiting the corporate website, any other ideas on how they can find out more?
Yes, I think that on the website you will find plenty of information, but the most important thing that you will find there is that on the back cover of our presentation, it's my phone number, my email. So if you are watching this and you have any question or something like that, just please get my contact number or my email, and we will be very pleased to answer any kind of questions that people have.
It's not every company that says talk to the top guy if you want to get more questions answered. So thank you very much for that. It's a big value to us, and we're delighted for your first visit here on Liberty and Finance. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance, and these are the Miles Franklin Weekly Specials for June 30th to July 6th, 2025, while supplies last. First this week we feature backdated 1/10 ounce gold maples at just $45 over melt per coin. Next, 1 ounce silver Swiss Pamp rounds are just $2.59 over spot per ounce. 90% mixed junk constitutional silver is only 99 cents over spot. And finally, backdated 1-ounce platinum platypus coins are just $119 over spot per ounce. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.